name is Reese Milne. I play for Team IMC.
My name is Rachel Phillips, and I play for Team Healthcare Management.
My name is Anna Eckenrode, and I play for Team Economics.
My name is Josh Howell, play for Team Healthcare Management. So the U.S. hockey team in the 1980 Winter Olympic Games in Lake Placid. This was at the height of the Cold War. The Soviet Union had just invaded Afghanistan the year prior and was occupying the country. This is 5 years after the fall of Saigon in Vietnam, and the middle of the Iranian hostage crisis, so it was high political tension between the two countries. And this game was kind of a representation of the struggle between the two nations. As far as hockey goes, the Soviet Union had dominated world hockey for the past 15 years at that point. The 1960 team Herb Brooks played on, but was cut a few days prior to the game starting. And he really kept this mentality through when he coached the 1980 team with a strong determination and a unified front to defeat the Soviets. That was the last time the U.S. won a gold. Soviet Union won gold in all the Olympic Games prior to 1980. The first and second round, Americans moved past Sweden and Czechoslovakia and on their way to the semifinals to see the Soviet Union. And this was the Miracle on Ice. 22nd of February 1980, where the United States beat the Soviet Union 4-3. And the only way they were able to do this was through strong teamwork and inspiration to believe that they could beat the Soviet Union and skate with them. Jim Craig, the goalie, and the captain, Mike Ruzioni, really led the team. They were voted captains by the team and really played their hearts out to get the win.
Tuckman's model and how it does relate to this is very interesting. Brooks picked his team very abnormally than what normal coaches do. He used a psychology test to pick his players as opposed to looking at pure talent. He decided he wanted to look at how the players meshed together as opposed to depending on each member's talent. He wanted them to depend on each other to create a team. But there's a problem. With forming this, storming also occurred because there was a rivalry between the University of Minnesota and the Boston University players, which made up most of the team. During one of the practices, there was a very large physical altercation. As opposed to breaking it up, Brooks decided that he wanted to wait it out and watch the players slowly tire of fighting. He used this as an example to show that they will never get to where they need to be if they don't stop fighting. He then asked the players to introduce themselves, where they are from, and who they played for. But the problem was that each player introduced themselves, said where they're from, and then said that the school that they played for, as opposed to saying that they played for the USA. He realized this was an even bigger problem then. After a very poor game, he asked the players to go through very difficult drills until there's almost no way that they can continue. This caused Captain Mike Rizzoni to announce that he is Mike Rizzoni, where he was from, and that he played for Team USA. This is where Brooks wanted to be. He then told everyone to go home. That started the whole norming process for all the practices in the next few games. The players were able to perform in the Olympics, and then when they got their medals, they began adjourning. The character development, two major character developments came between Mike Rizzoni, when he was the first to realize that they're in this together, and the goalie Jim Craig, when he was told after being asked to leave one of the games that the coach wanted to see the man who wouldn't take the psychology test versus the man he saw in front of him today.
Okay, so groupthink basically is a situation in a group that is characterized by strong pressure to arrive at consensus, a high degree of agreement and conformity and or defense of group decisions, even in the face of evidence proving these decisions to be wrong or senseless. Within the team of the 1980 Olympics hockey, we see that the coaches sort of have the groupthink process go on. The Coach Brooks has a certain style about him that's different than the other ones, where he pushes the players really hard, and the other coaches sort of maybe not agree with what he's saying and making the players do, but the whole relationships and all that goes into groupthink kind of stops them from saying anything to him. And then within the team, we see like what we were talking about with the Tuckman's model, the rivalry schools, that kind of played a factor in the relationships that took a while to build with the team. The solution for the groupthink is the fact that Brooks encouraged their players to really reevaluate why they're on the team, why they deserved a spot. He made them think about the toughness it takes to be a player on the team. That really made them look within to shake off all of the other things like the rivalry school and stuff like that. He also, the tactic that he used to coach made the players dislike him collectively. So that also made them bond together because they both were scared of him or to approach him or felt uncomfortable by him by the tactic that he coached with.
Teams and groups face the same big 6 challenges, the first of them being membership. Coach Brooks fought hard to combat any issues with membership by being highly selective when he was choosing team members. When we discussed the Tuckman's model, we mentioned that he used psychology to choose his players. He was looking for men who would be very open-minded as he was trying to change the way hockey is played in the United States. Most teams have issues with participation, but Coach Brooks fought that very hard. If one person was not participating fully or putting forth their best effort, he would punish the whole team. Another issue many teams face is communication. Constructive communication usually helps people perform more efficiently, but Coach Brooks limited his compliments to his team members to make them more meaningful when he did give them. Now, they wouldn't be over-the-top compliments, but just something like, hey, you didn't play very badly today. And that was enough to encourage the players to move forward. Influence in teams can also be a problem. We mentioned previously that there were rivalries when the team was initiated, and that caused a rift to begin, but once team members started believing they were playing for the same side, they started working together. Additionally, Coach Brooks sort of treated the goalie like a favorite. He allowed him not to take the 300-question psychology questionnaire at the beginning of the season, but he put him back in his place when he threatened him to pull him from the Olympic game at the very end. Teams can also face issues of social loafing, which is someone not doing their part because someone else will do it for them, but Coach Brooks combated this again by making everyone participate. He wasn't afraid to take players out if they weren't working their hardest. Also, emotions are a really big issue in teams. Coach Brooks fought very hard to remain stoic in front of his players. He's quoted as one time in the locker room saying he wished he could take the guys out for a beer after a game, but he knew he wasn't there to be their friend, he was there to be their coach, and that was what led them to be united against him and in turn work harder as a team.
Status and power in groups. Ideally, meritocracy, a system people are granted power based on their emotional intelligence and overall expertise and leadership competencies. This is an ideal situation you want, and the National Hockey Association chose Herb Brooks to be the coach of the 1980 hockey team because of his leadership abilities, and they thought he could do a good job to at least place in the medal rounds. Coach Brooks was the symbol of status and power in his team, but initially he had to overcome a lot of social status and influence within the team. As mentioned before, a lot of players were from rival universities in college, and little micro leaders within each university had their own influence over their friends and former teammates, which led them to have a real strong divide between the two. Herb had to overcome this with his power. His legitimate position, obviously, he was the head coach of the team, so this gave him the right to cut players. He originally chose 26 and had to get it down to 20, so every player was in fear that he would get cut from the team and not being able to participate in the games themselves. A reward status, it really wasn't, as far as Coach Brooks goes. He didn't promise them anything. It's really the only reward for them would be to do well in the games and possibly get a gold medal. His main method of power was to coerce and punish the players through sprints and verbal abuse, really trying to get them to buy into his system, and if they didn't, he punished them physically. His degree of expertise, he had been around hockey all his life. He was actually on the 1960 Olympic team until he was cut before the games. But he had won several national championships as the coach of University of Minnesota prior to this, which led him to being selected for the position itself. And Coach Brooks' referent power, his ability to inspire his team to accomplish things they never thought they would. I mean, it's very clear, a bunch of 22-year-old college kids beating the #1 team in the entire world for the past 15 years. He got them to believe in his system and really play their hearts out for him in order to accomplish a united goal.
I'm Reeves McMillan.
I'm Rachel Phillips.
I'm Anna Eckenrode.
I'm Josh Howell, and
We play for Team Teamwork.
That was good.
Perfect.